Hello and welcome to the recording for week 8 for computer fundamentals. And you can see that for week 8 it goes from May 20th to 26th. And just a reminder, I'm sure you all know, we are getting to the end of the course. For me, there are no revisions for anything after May 31st. Then the final deadline for all work is June 4th. So if you turn something in on June 1st, you're not going to be able to revise it. So I can't be doing that. So get your stuff turned in early. Okay, this is for this week 8. We're finishing up the electronic communications unit, and this is going to be sections 5 and 6 only. So as usual, you have the class connect recording, the write-up, then you have project 3, project 4, and then the exam, review for the exam, and the exam. Remember, there's the exam preview is in the unit, so very easy for you to get a good grade on the exam. Use the preview first, find the answers, then go do the exam, because I don't let you redo the exams. I'm sure you all remember that. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So we'll go down to the electronic communications unit and get into section 5 and 6. So here we are. So section 5, electronic communications unit. And before we jump into this, we obviously want to go to the Class Connect write-up. So the Class Connect write-up. What do you think of 3 most important concepts in information security? What did Boeing do to assist employees whose information was on the stolen laptop? What are 2 things you should not do with passwords? Think about different accounts you have. Estimate how many passwords do you have. Give an example of a password that fits all the listed suggestions. How does a social engineer get secure information from a person? So we'll cover these things as I go through this lesson. So security, managing your passwords and preventing a security breach is important. But there's some people that aggressively try to get your passwords and try to get your information. So in this section, we're going to look at the concepts around trust, privacy, management, information, and look at concepts related to security of information. So here are some examples of information security and how you can keep your stuff secure. So secure means only a single person has access to information, only a group of people have access. Those are possibilities. Access requires a password, requires additional authorizations. Access prevents modification but not viewing. So you could have lots of ways you could set up information to be secure. So like the last one, you could let people look at the document or look at the document but not modify it, not change it. So those are just 5 things related to information security. Now here's a story. Here's a guy, he worked for Boeing, which is an airplane manufacturing company. And Boeing sold his division where he worked, and during the transition his laptop with information about past and present employees was lost. So he became the victim of identity theft when someone attempted to use his social security number and other information to open up credit card accounts and take loans. He was able to minimize his damage, but Boeing had to they ended up paying for credit monitoring services for the affected employees. So for 300,000 people, they had to buy credit monitoring services just to make sure that their personal credit wasn't affected because of this breach in security, breach in information safety. So you can see what Boeing had to do for all those employees. So password obviously is the most important way for you to secure things, but I'm sure some of you have seen that in many cases you can start using your fingerprints on your computer as a way to identify you as a user. Some computers, the video camera, you can look at it and it will identify your eye because the iris is just like fingerprints. It's individual for everyone. So there are many ways that are starting to use the biology of a person's body to provide security. Some problems with passwords. Of course, you need to make sure you remember it, but it can't be so simple that someone can guess it. People write down at least one password they have written down somewhere, and a lot of people just use the word password as their password. So they're not very smart, is it? A lot of people use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1, 2, 3, ABCD, something like that. Not very secure. So think about all the passwords you have. So that's one of the Class Connect write-up questions. I think I have probably about 12 accounts that I have to have passwords for. You don't need to write all these down, but what I'd like you to do is just think about the numbers you have, and that was that Class Connect write-up question, the number of passwords you have to use. Here's some good rules for passwords. Use letters, a mix of numbers, and special characters. At least 6 characters long. Some websites require you have 8 maybe. Not a common word, like snowflake would probably not be a good password. Does not contain like your birthday or anything like that, and it has to be easy to remember. So if you look at this list, which of these might fit the rules up above here? So check those out. About Snickers 1, 2, 3. Well, it doesn't have any special characters. I mean, well, these two are pretty good passwords, but they don't have special characters. But look at this one, the last one with the special characters. So some things to think about. One thing that I've started doing, I've started using like the asterisk, or not the asterisk, but the exclamation point instead of the number 1 in some passwords. So that way, it's a character rather than a number. So these are just some of the rules. So in that Class Connect write-up question, I want you to come up with a password that fits all of these rules. Make it your own. Don't use the Snickers answer down below. Common passwords. One thing that people do is they use the same password for all accounts. It's easy to remember, but what if you write that down someplace and people would then know your password for every account you have? And of course, different websites have different rules. Some websites you have to have 8 characters, others you have to have 6 characters, and you have to have numbers in it, different things like that. So you have to think of rules like that on websites and such. Is it okay to write down a password? Really, no, it's not. Now there are some pieces of software you can get that let you create a protected password list. But what if somebody gets access to that piece of software? You can write down a clue to help you remember a password. So that's what I have. I have clues to help me remember the password, and nobody else would know the answers to those clues. Like, what elementary school did I go to in the 3rd grade? Hardly anybody would know the answer to that, except my mother probably. Social engineering. Well, social engineering, this is where somebody tries to get a person's information by being social to them, by being friendly to them. So you can see right here, read through this, and you can see that Jenna, she's working at a help desk, and this guy calls in, Scott, and he pretends he's a certain person, and he talks her into her giving him information. So that's what social engineering does, is that person was scammed by a social engineer. They do by acting as if he belongs, calling people by their first name, being friendly to them, and things like that. And of course, think about this conversation up here. If you heard it, it would sound really convincing, wouldn't it? Famous social engineers, you can read some information about these people. I could often get a password by pretending to be someone and just asking for it. So you can see the penalties that they got. Future way to have password protected. So biometrics, using your body, as I mentioned before, the face, fingerprint, hand, the iris, DNA. This is going to be interesting what the future holds, isn't it? So in summary, we learned why passwords are important, how to generate passwords, how to remember passwords, and learn a little bit about social engineering. So for this assignment, you're going to research, find an incident where password cracking or social engineering was a breach of information. You can use a personal example if you want to. If you're using an example that you find, make sure you cite your source. Use Google or somewhere like that. This says write 1-page double-spaced paper. I don't require one page, but a couple of paragraphs you're explaining what happened. And of course, right here you can download the assignment document to see what that work is. So it's really the same thing we just looked at, isn't it? So you're just going to do a little bit of writing about social engineering or about breach of security. So that's Unit 9, Assignment 3. Now let me go back to the write-up. Three most important concepts in information security. What did Boeing do? What you should not do with passwords. We talked about that. Different accounts you have. How many passwords do you estimate you have? Password that fits the suggested in that list. And social engineering. We talked about those, didn't we? Okay, Section 6. What is a virus? 3 tips to avoid getting a virus. Explain how phishing causes you to do something you should not do on your computer. And why is spyware? Or what is spyware? So now let's go on to privacy, Section 6. So we'll run through this, learn some information from this. So now we're looking at privacy. So obviously you want to keep your information private. That not only means the information you have on your computers, but even access to your computer. We talked about that before with passwords and such. So in this section, we're going to look at how to use the internet safely, legally, identify concepts and trust privacy, identify security concepts related to security of information. Well, computer virus is a program that runs on your computer without your permission and even without your knowledge. It can spread to other computers if you share files, difficult to remove. It can you can send a file via email or receive one. It can go over a computer network. So if you have 2 or 3 computers on your Wi-Fi at home, those computers can pass information over the network to another computer. Viruses, they avoid detection because they attach themselves to files. Nowadays, of course, they have virus checkers, and most of the times those do a pretty good job, but new viruses are created every day. So it's really hard for the virus checking software to stay updated. To avoid viruses, you can't be completely safe, but there are different ways to do it. Never open a file attached in an email unless you know the person that sent it. Now, the thing about that, though, is the person that's sending it, they may have a virus and they don't know about it. So that's not 100% safe. Never run an executable program you copy off the web, unless, of course, and that's like a .exe, unless, of course, you know the source, if it's from a legitimate source like Microsoft or somewhere like that. Keep your operating system up to date, Windows, Mac. Run a virus scanner, have it going all the time. Use an antivirus or format your hard drive to start over if you know you have a virus. Phishing. Phishing is a method of social engineering. So phishing is when somebody sends an email and they try to get information. So here's a sample email that somebody sent. And you see that when they send this, it looks really official from PayPal, but if you look at it, look at the address right here. This wasn't from PayPal.com. It was from PayPal-webscr.com. So somebody had that website, and then they created this. So they're going to ask you to go in and give your PayPal account information. So that's just what phishing is and how it works. There's some sneaky phishing. Now look at this one. You see this one really looks legitimate, doesn't it? And even at the from, it has PayPal.com. So if you were to click on that link, then it would send you somewhere you wouldn't want to go. So it's just some things that you really need to be concerned with. Some things can look legitimate, but they really aren't. Other things that happen on your computers, you have the pop-ups. We all get pop-ups that happen. Pop-ups is a form of advertising. Now, what I do, I have good virus checker and security software, so I don't get very many pop-ups, but at one time I used to. And the thing about clicking on these pop-up windows is when you click on it, then it opens up other pop-ups, and some of them even say, close this window, and you click that, and then that starts opening up another pop-up, so you never know what these pop-ups are going to do. So pop-ups are usually harmless, but they're annoying, right? But then there's adware, and adware is software that runs on your computer and puts pop-up ads on your computer based on like places you're searching and things like that. Spyware. It's software that runs on your computer to monitor how you use your computer. Sometimes it can take control of your computer. So it's not quite like a virus, but it's similar. Uh, Spyware could be that if you work for a company and you use their company computers, they could have spyware loaded just to see that what you're doing over the course of your workday. Firewall is something that can deny certain connections to your computer. It can deny some things coming into your computer. Firewalls can help against viruses and things like that, but also with firewalls, you might not be able to do some things you want to do. Like schools have firewalls. So if you're in a school that has a firewall, or your internet, wireless internet connection has a firewall, you might not be able to download certain games, might not be able to go to certain websites, things like that. So in summary, how do viruses get into your computer? We learned what phishing is, we learned what pop-ups and spyware are, didn't we? Okay, so wrapping up, here's some research. This time you are to research and find an instance where any of the methods mentioned in this section result in a brief of information. You can give a personal example if you want, etc. So this is similar to the number 3 we did, but this one is talking about the privacy issue. So it's talking about viruses and phishing. So it's different from section 5. So in all of this electronic communication, we learned about all of these things: cookies, viruses, emails, things like that. And now, of course, you're going to do the exam, and right over here is the exam preview. So make sure you go through the exam preview before you do the exam. I'm sure you'll get a better grade. So let's go back to the week 8 write-up. And what is computer virus? We talked about that. 3 steps to avoid getting a virus. Explain how phishing can cause you to do something you should not do on your computer. And what is spyware? We talked about all those. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. And I just want to, as you looked at the work for week 8, you can see that it's not very daunting. Doing this write-up, watching this lesson probably take you 20 minutes. Project 3, the write-up on that might make a half an hour. Project 4, that activity might be a half an hour. It's really about an hour and a half for all the work for this week. So that means you have time to get other work made up. And please remember, you need to get to 600 points to pass the class. I don't care how you get to there, but please get to it. And I would suggest that if you're really way behind, you need to go down here to the passing plan or look at the passing plan that I sent you this past week. Hey, that's all I have for you, everybody. I look forward to your work coming in. Bye.